Hey there, fourth graders. Mr. B here. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Today is Tuesday, April 28th. We're continuing our decimals unit. So, in the past couple days, we've been working on comparing decimals, different things like that. Today, we are going to talk about mixed numbers as decimals. Okay, so remember, a mixed number is a whole number along with a part of a whole, right? So we're going to talk about that in terms of decimals today. Okay. So today, items you're going to need are pencil, and your decimals homework packet. Excuse me. You're going to work on page 9 with me. Okay. Page 9 is going to look something like this. Okay. Relate mixed numbers and decimals. Okay. Page 9. We'll do the front side together like usual. Remember, you only need to do the ones that I do. The rest are extra practice. Work on Math IXLs T9 through T11 after you are done with the lesson. Okay, so T9, T10, and T11 you need to do today. Okay, so let's get started on today's lesson here. So today's lesson and today's objective is I can model, read, and write mixed numbers as decimals. Okay, so mixed numbers as decimals. Okay. So first, here we're just working on our on the way we can write them, read them, and how we would read it as a decimal, right? Okay. So we have one whole. Okay. Let me get. Let's go with. So we have one whole, two wholes, okay, two wholes, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 out of 7, 8, 9, 10. So 2 and 6 tenths, okay? 2 and 6 tenths. So notice in our decimal here, sorry, that was a bad one. We have 2 in our ones column, right? 2 in our ones column. And we have 6 in our tenths column, right? Tenths, 6 tenths, right? 6 tenths, 6 tenths, 6 tenths, okay? So how you would read that is 2 and, right? Remember the and, 2 and 6 tenths, okay? So very similar to our fraction, okay? We just use our decimals place values, okay? Let's take a look at this one. So here we have one whole, okay? So one whole, and we have 27. So we have 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 out of 100, right? Because there's 100 in this entire thing. Okay, there's 100 in this entire thing. So 27 hundredths, right? So we have one whole, right? One whole. We have 2 tenths, 1 and 2, right? And then we have 7 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hundredths, right? Because it's out of 100. It's out of a hundredth, right? So you read that as one and, right? Because remember the and tells us that this is our whole number, right? So 1 and 27 hundredths ends in the hundredths place value. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so this one's going to be a number line. Okay, so notice how we have 1 here, we have 1.5, and then we have 2. Okay, so remember, use our gauges. Okay, so mixed number is going to be our fraction, right? So where is this red dot located? So we count back. So we have 2.0, I know that we're using tenths, right? Because I see that 1.5, 2.0, right? So I see this is going to be 1.9. This is going to be 1.8, right? 1.8. Okay. So 1 and 8 tenths, right? Because it's the tenths place value. Okay. So our mixed number is going to be 1 and 8 tenths, right? 1 and 8 tenths. Okay. And our decimal is going to be 1.8. Okay. 1 and 8 tenths. Okay. So let's get started on our assignment here today. So we're going to do the front side together, and then the back side will be extra practice. Okay. So let's get started. All right. So number one. Number one here. So we need to write an equivalent mixed number and a decimal for each model. Okay? So mixed number and decimal. Okay? So we'll go mixed number, and then we'll go decimal over here. Okay? All right. So I see we have 1 whole 1, 2, 3. So I know our whole number is going to be 3. And we it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of. So remember, we could go 40 out of 100, right? Or we could simplify it and cross off each 0. So that would be next number 4 tenths, 3 and 4 tenths, right? Because we have 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. Okay, so our decimal could be 3.4 tenths, 4 in the tenths column. Okay, 3.4. You guys go ahead and try number 2 by yourself. Okay. All right. So we're starting with 3.0 and 4.0. So I know that we're going to be using tenths, right? We're going to be using tenths. Pause the video if you haven't and do this by yourself. Okay. So I'm going to find the mixed number first. Mixed number first here. Okay. So I'm going to count here. So I have 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5. Okay. So 3.5. So that tells us a lot, right? So we can make 3 and 5 tenths. 3 and 5 tenths. Or a half, right? 3 and a half. And our decimal would be 3.5, right? Because 3.5. Okay. Now we need to write an equivalent mixed number. So write an equivalent mixed number or a decimal for each. Okay. So if we have a decimal over here, we need to write a mixed number. If we have a mixed number, we need to write a decimal. Okay. And then we need to write word form over here. Okay. So word form. Oops, sorry, I spelled form wrong. Okay. Word form and then the number. Okay. All right. So let's do number 3 together here. So I see we have 6 in our 1 spot and 6 tenths because we already have the decimal over here, right? So we need to write our mixed number. 6 and 6 tenths can also simplify to 6 and 3/5. Okay? So, but I'm going to stick with this one. Okay? For word form. Okay? So I'm going to write 6 and right? Because that is our whole number, 6, and this signifies that we're moving on to our fraction part, and 6 tenths. Just like that. Okay? All right, you guys try number 4 and 5 by yourself here. Try number 4 and 5 by yourself. Okay, so now we need a decimal. Okay? Now we need a decimal. Okay? 3 and 90 hundredths. 3 and 90 hundredths. Ends in the hundredths, right? So remember, we don't really need the 0, but we'll keep it for this one, okay? So 3 and 90 hundredths. Okay. Try number 5 here, 4.75. 4 and 75 hundredths. So now we need a fraction or a mixed number, right? Mixed number. Okay? So we have 4 as our whole number. 4 as our whole number. And we have 75 and it ends in the hundredths. So 4 and 75 hundredths. Okay? So we could simplify this, but I'm going to keep it the way it is just for this lesson. Okay? So I'm going to go 4 and 75 hundredths. Okay? Try 6 and 7 by yourself. Pause the video if you haven't. Okay? So 5 and a quarter. Okay? 5 and a quarter. Okay? So we can get this, we need this to be a decimal now. Okay? Decimal. Okay? Because this is a fraction. Okay? Okay, so how we get that to be a decimal? We multiply, we have to get this out of 100, right? So what do we have to multiply this by to get 100? 25 times 25, because remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So 25 hundredths, right? Because 1 times 25 is 25 hundredths. So 5 and 25 hundredths, so 5.25, and it ends in the hundredths, okay? So now, writing in word form, 5 and 25 hundredths. Okay. Now number 7, we have 7. I'll erase it a little bit here. So number 7, we have 2. So now we need a mixed number on the bottom here. So mixed number. So 2 and 9 hundredths, right? Because it ends in the hundredths place column. Okay, so 2 and 9 hundredths. Okay, moving down here. Work on 8 here together. We'll do 8 together. So we need to write the missing number for each box. Okay, write the missing number for each box. So this, remember, it doesn't matter where our equal sign is. This part has to equal this part. Okay, so 2 plus what gives us 2.4. Okay? 2 plus what gives us 2.4. Okay, so I notice that we have the 2 here and we have a 2 here. So what are we missing that we have to add to the 2? We're missing 0.4. Okay, go ahead and try these 2 by yourself here. Go ahead and try those 2 by yourself. Okay, so this one is trying to trick you a little bit, number 9. Okay, so notice how we have a 0 here, we have a 3 here, we have 0.8 here, 0.8 here, right? Do we really need this one? Since it's a 0, we don't need that one. So you could put 0 in there if you wanted, okay? But we don't really need that, okay? Number 10 now. So this one is trying to trick you again here, okay? So notice we have 5, okay? And we have 0.00, but we have a 0.06. We have 600ths in that one. So what does this tell you that this one has to be then? If this is not even doing anything for us, what does this box have to be? If this is not doing anything for us, we still need that 0.06, that's 600. We still need to put 0.06. Okay? So those are just a couple of tricky ones. Okay? So 11 now. 11. Harriet is thinking of a decimal that is equivalent to 8 1/5. What is that decimal? Okay? So this is our key part here, 1/5, right? So remember, we need to get it out. I'm going to write it as a fraction. We need to get this to 100, right? Because this is going to give us our decimal. Okay? Oh, I spelled decimal wrong. I'm sorry. Okay? This is going to give us our decimal. Okay? So what do we have to multiply 5 by to get to 100? 20. Okay? So whatever we multiply by the bottom, we have to multiply by the top. 20 hundredths. That's our new fraction. Okay? So we have 8 and 8.20 hundredths. Okay? If you want, you can cross out the 0, 8 and 2/10. Okay? All right, try number 12 by yourself. A CD case measures 4 4/5 inches by 5 3/5 inches. What is the decimal form of the measurements? Okay, so it just wants to know how big is the CD case. Okay, so that means we have to convert these to 100, right? So we'll start with this one. 4/5, and we need to get it out of 100. Or actually, I'm going to teach you guys something here. Okay, so notice when we had fifths over here, right? We had fifths over here. Okay, we didn't need these zeros, right? 2/10, right? It could have been just 2/10. So I know that 5 can go to tenths, right? So 5 times 2 gives us out of 10. So 4 times 2 would give us 8/10. So this one, 4 4/5, 4 4/5 would be 4.8, right? 8 in the tenths column. Okay, so this is the x means by. Okay, the x means by. Okay, now we need to do 5. So I'm gonna write down that 5 right away. 5, and now we need to figure out 3/5. Okay, so I'm sure some of you guys might be able to figure this out already. Okay, so remember, we can just get to the tenths on this one, right? So 5 times 2 is 10, because this is going to give us our tenths, right? This is going to give us our tenths. So then 3 times 2, right? Because whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 3 times 2 is 6, 6/10. So 6/10, 6 in the tenths column. Okay, so this one is good to go. Okay, try 13 and 14 by yourself. Try 13 and 14 by yourself. Okay? Try 13 and 14 by yourself. Okay, so which mixed number is equivalent or equal, right? Equal to 3.25. Okay, so we have 25 hundredths, right? 25 hundredths. Okay, so what could this reduce to? What could this reduce to? Because I don't see 25 hundredths here, right? I don't see 25 hundredths out of our options. I know that 25 times 4 equals 100. Okay, that's our denominator. So that means we can divide by 4 instead. So let's go, or I'm sorry, I'm giving you an answer here. Okay, so I know that 2,500. Okay, so divide by 25, right? Because we always want to try by our numerator. Okay, divide by 25. That gives us 1. So 25 divided by 25 gives us 1. 100 divided by 25 gives us 4. So 1/4. We have 3 and 1/4. 3 and 1/4 is 8. Okay. Let's go ahead and try number 14. If you haven't already, try that by yourself. Okay. In simplest form, what is an equivalent fraction for the decimal 2.36? Okay. So I know we have the whole number 2. Okay. So these all work so far. Okay. So now 36. I'm gonna write this part as a fraction. Okay. As a fraction. 36, and I notice it ends in the hundred spot. So 36 hundredths. Okay. So I know that we probably can't divide the 36 by 4 or by 30. The 100 divided by 36. That won't work. Okay. That won't work. Okay. That won't work. So I'm going to try, so thinking about the factors to 36. Okay. So I know I have 1, 36. Thinking about, I have 2 and 18. I have 3 and 12. I have 4 and 9. And I have 6. All right, 6 times 6. Okay. So what would be the biggest one I could divide 100 by? I know in my head, right? I'm going to try 4. I'm going to try dividing them by 4. Because I know that we just got 4. We just divided our 100 divided by 4 over here, right? So 36 divided by 4. We know that will work because 4 times 9 gives us 36, right? So that'll work. Okay, so 36 divided by 4 is 9. 100 divided by 4 is 25. 9 25ths, so 2. And 9 25ths. Can we get any smaller? We cannot. So it's going to be C. Okay. Backside's going to be extra practice. Okay. Extra practice. Okay. Remember to do IXLs. Let's check it out here one more time so we don't get it wrong for you guys. T9, T10, and T11. Okay. So T9 through T11. You need to get a score 80 on those. Okay. Please let me know if you have any questions.